So, welcome to the fifth episode of the Joseph and Leather podcast. Today I'm with Aaron from Anvil Hide, founded in late 2019. Anvil Hide is inspired by craftsmanship and all things handmade and is from Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Aaron.
Hey, thanks for having me.
That's all good. Um, so, I saw your advert on Facebook and thought that I'd get you on. So, it's great to be able to chat with you. And have you had much success with that advert?
Yeah, in a nutshell, Facebook advertising's really worked for my business. And it's kind of been one of those things where it's enabled me to be able to do this full time. I just don't know if I'd be able to do this, or I think I'd have a very hard time financially if I didn't do paid advertising on that platform. So for me, it's working. But it doesn't always work. I've tried different things. It's like you kind of got to match the perfect copy with the perfect picture or video, with a unique selling proposition. All of those things need to come in. So, it works and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's probably the downside of online shopping because like you have to if the photo doesn't look good, it's you don't get much of a click on it.
Yeah, that's right. That photography, especially in leathercraft, I'm not a photographer and I don't have a proper camera, so I had to rely on some favors for some friends to get that stuff happening.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, there's guys like Ryan from Little King, who I think he was a photographer or he did videos. But anyway, he's got the eye, so his stuff just looks so good on his videos and his website and stuff that it really helps the sale. Because people want to see that you're one quality, but also kind of trendy to a degree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
That's why because I was just using some of the videos that I made. I was using my phone, and the camera was quite dodgy on it. It wasn't like sort of wearing out a bit. So I got a new phone, and the camera on it is just so much better. So yeah, like you said, photography is such a huge thing.
Well, that's a good thing about the new phones, right? The camera's pretty good. Like, I mean, as you say, like, even the last 3 or 4 iPhones have had 4K video.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got lighting, pretty well down, they're not very good at doing like shooting in low light. But as long as you got, proper lights or whatever, you can generally make a pretty decent little video.
Yeah, I was actually some weeks ago. I was actually thinking about buying a camera. So I was looking at different Canons and that sort of stuff. And then that's another thing you have to learn as well. How to do like shutter speed and that sort of stuff. And then I just figured if I get a new phone, like I was due for an upgrade anyway, the cameras in them are just so good. You don't need to worry about all that sort of photography. You can just snap it and then that's it.
Yeah, they make it pretty user-friendly. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's functions on like a decent camera and stuff that make it similar. But, if you want a decent camera and lens kit, you're talking a good few $1,000s that you could be spending on leatherworking tools or materials or, I don't know, online courses, websites, So I haven't done that yet. But I've toyed with the idea of getting a camera as well. But then, I've also got friends that have cameras. So you just call in a favor and send them a wallet or send them a belt or something.
Yeah. Well, so what did you use to film that ad that's on Facebook and Instagram?
That one was actually shot on a decent camera, but I had a friend, as I said, a friend who's a cameraman. One of the shots is like on a tracking pad.
Yeah, is that the first one?
Yeah. See, that is a 15-second ad. That one there is actually a 15-second ad of a 1.5-minute video that I have on my homepage. It's just a little edit that I've done because Facebook likes 15-second ads.
Yeah.
So I've just edited that minute and a half down, and the one on the website has like me doing a spoken, like a dialogue over the top, but I've just put a song behind the one in the ad. But to answer your question, yeah, it was just a friend of mine who came over and he's actually a leather crafter as well. He was really inspired by what I was doing, and he wanted to kind of get into the world a bit more, so he came over and filmed me for an afternoon. It was great.
Yeah. I guess that's handy as well, having if you're starting out, having someone that he can you can mentor, because when you're first starting out, find out what leather you want to use, the tools. Whereas if you have someone, you evade all those mistakes.
Yeah, that's right. The amount of I don't know if it's like this for you, but the amount of products that you bought and stuff you don't end up using, and it just sits there. You go, oh, this is the wrong leather. It's just, to keep the costs low, it's good to be able to ask someone directly,
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is a new thing that's happened in recent years, but some companies, instead of buying the full hide, you can actually just buy little sections, like 2 square feet of it, which is so handy because you don't need to buy, a full side of leather is at least $500.
Yeah, I've been buying a couple of those little, 1 square foot, 2 square foot recently. I bought a square foot of Pueblo. Is that how you say it? The Pueblo.
What?
It's from that Italian tannery. It's got a really interesting texture. It's very on trend at the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, I bought a square foot of that from Passage Leather Supply, which is an Aussie leather supply guy. It's I'm pretty sure he's just starting out, this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought a square foot of that, and just to test it out, I was like, I want to make some watch straps. I'm not going to buy a full side of this stuff. So spend, I think it was $40 or something.
Yeah.
So you can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah.
And then I did the same for some Wickett and Craig leather recently. Just got a couple of square feet just to test it out, and it's a good way to see, because I would always I'd always try and save a penny by buying bulk. But then if you not end up using it, you're actually losing money. So
yeah,
I think it's a good way.
Did you get that Wickett and Craig from Tasmania?
No, I got it from Buckle Guy in the States.
Okay. Yeah, there's actually a company in Tasmania that actually sells Wickett and Craig, and they sell like the square foot. And yeah, I got some Wickett and Craig.
Oh, is that Maker's Leather? No, not Maker's. Is it Maker's Leather? Maker's Leather Supply.
Yeah, you can buy like just the
I know the company you're talking about. It's an offshoot of a larger American company.
Yeah.
And they've just started. Yeah, they've started in Australia. Yeah, that's right. They do some lighter weight. Wickett and Craig. They don't really do the heavier stuff, from my understanding. But
yeah, it's just 2 to 3, 4 to 5. And that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was handy because I bought some Wickett and Craig, and then I worked on some of it, and yeah, it was just handy. You get like a little piece and you test it out. I guess that was my first question. How did you get into leather craft?
Yeah, I wanted to get into knife making, and I made a knife by hand, and when I'd finished it, I thought, I'll make a sheath, like a leather sheath. And so I made the sheath. I bought some leather from, I think, Tandy at the time, back when Tandy was in Australia. And made the sheath, and I thought, this is pretty fun. And the good thing about it was I could do it on my living room table. So with the knife making, I was like, well, I live in a unit in the city, right? I live in Sydney. So I just didn't have room to set up a whole knife making workshop. And I was a cabinet maker by trade, so I kind of knew that there was, once you kind of get into it, you do end up getting big tools and all this expensive stuff, and you need a space to store it. With leather, it's like you can run a pretty decent little side hustle with really only hand tools, in a spare room, or just even on the dining table, pulling it out, packing it away. So that's how I started.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So knife making. So then I guess, did sheaths inspired you to go leathercraft? Because it's like you can't do blade making.
Yeah. Yeah, once I'd made the sheath, I was like, well, I want to continue making something with my hands, because I've been working in an office job for the last, I don't know, decade or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to do more handmade stuff, and leather was the perfect sort of middleman between, as I said, big machinery and low cost, easy startup, those sort of things. So. And I also really I've always enjoyed like a quality leather product. I think people that get into leather craft probably have had some nice piece of leather, something along their life, and they've seen it outperform PVC belts from Kmart. And, that was it for me. Like I bought a quality leather belt when I was maybe 18. I got it shipped from the States for like $25 or something, but it was a full grain harness leather belt, and it's still as strong today as it was then. You kind of get a little bit of a taste for just the characteristics of leather and the way it changes, and patina. And
that's the one of the unique things about leather, because you can get a nice leather bag, a leather belt, a leather wallet, and even if you don't do leather crafts, like leather crafting, there's people out there that will appreciate a nice leather bag or belt or something like that. Whereas it's a very unique. Which.
Yeah, I think there's there's definitely a resurgence of people being interested in handmade. I think that probably the biggest thing is just the fact that we've gone so far away from handmade, and we've gone to this instant Kmart cheap, mass-produced, made cheap, but fall apart in 6 to 12 months, that people are starting to get a little bit of a hunger for quality again, I think. Yeah. I actually think it's going to go even more this way, so I think it's a good time to be getting into handmade leather or handmade anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got a little bit of time to run, so yeah, I think it's a good time to be involved.
Yeah, I know in my case, like education as well has been so put on a pedestal and so made so complex, which it actually really isn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You have to do all these courses just to get, and spend all this money to get a little qualification. Right. Whereas like you can easily learn basic things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a lot of there's a lot to be said from YouTube University. It's free. You can actually learn real life skills.
Mm-hmm.
And you can provide, like, once you've got the skills, and you've got to hone your skills and everything like that, you've got to get to a certain level, but you can generate an income, learning a skill that you essentially acquired for free.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, you got to love the internet for that.
But when you were learning leathercraft, you obviously would have had this is absolutely no formal training in how to work with leather work. How did you learn?
Yeah, just trial and error, I guess. Well, I mean, learning, probably, I learnt through YouTube, like techniques and things like, you have to case leather before you tool it, or whatever. Like you've got to bevel the edge with a thing called an edge beveler, and then you've got to burnish it using a product, whatever that's going to be. Trial and error was a big thing. But I just tried to make it, for me, the process, because I didn't know I wanted to do this as a business or anything. I was purely doing it as a hobby. What can I make next that I kind of need? So, first I mentioned the knife sheath, and then I can't remember what I made. Maybe I made some belts for some family members for Christmas, and then I made a satchel because I needed a satchel, and I thought, it's not too hard. It's a pretty basic shape, just a really simple over-the-shoulder man bag. Then I was building a motorcycle, so I made a motorcycle seat. And, little techniques you pick up along the way, hand stitching, machine stitching, dyeing, buying pre-dyed, all these different things. I kind of like tweaked what I like doing, what I don't like doing, and what techniques work and don't work. But at the same time, I'm still pretty new to it, and I'm changing techniques all the time, trying stuff out, throwing away things that I don't think are as effective.
Yeah. And that would have been all from YouTube.
Learned a lot from Ian Atkinson. You know him?
Oh yeah. I watched him when I was first into YouTube.
He's just brilliant. He's just brilliant. Ian Atkinson. Stock and Barrel Parker. Learned a lot from him. There's just heaps. There's heaps of stuff on there. It's great.
Yeah. And especially when you see him actually make the products as well, you can just do that and then see if it works out or not. It's so helpful.
Yeah.
What items were you inspired by, or are you inspired by?
I'm inspired. Even though I don't really do them, but backpacks I really like. I do have a backpack. There's one just behind me, like a roll top style. I've made a few of them. I quite like the outdoors. I'm kind of inspired a bit more by outdoor, hard-wearing, functional. I want beauty to meet functional. More so than just really dainty leather products. They have a place, but I just don't really love dainty stuff.
Yeah. Then that's interesting. I've seen some. It's sort of a similar design where someone will be out in the bush and they'll have that like really thick, solid belt, like it's a leather belt, and they'll have all their different, compartments, and it just looks looks nice. It's not like a plasticky, easy to make equipment. It's sort of you see the solid, hard wearing.
Yeah, that's right. That sort of bushcraft world. I really like camping and bushcraft and that sort of stuff. And what you're describing is kind of what I based a recent release of mine. I made a belt called the Unbreakable belt, and it's just an unbelievably thick and heavy duty belt for kind of getting out there. And I mean, you could wear it around an office or whatever, but it's like a decent, product to be used, not just nice to look at.
Yeah. Is that one with the two prongs?
Yeah, I've got a couple with two prongs.
Yeah. Because when I saw the two prong ones, that's what it reminded me of, like the outdoors. Because a lot of those outdoorsy sort of the two prong belt.
Yeah, I think it's based on saddle making, because a lot of those straps are like 50 mil wide. Super wide. I don't know much about like equestrian products, but I've just noticed that a lot of the saddlery shops have like 50 mil wide, 55 mil wide buckles with two prongs. It's like, I guess it's for keeping the saddle on the horse.
Yeah. So then you had that as a hobby for a while. So then how did Anvil Hide come about?
Yeah, so I launched in, well, I mean, I just kind of, I had been making products, I don't know how long for, but a couple of years, and I just thought, you know what, why not just put up a Shopify? It's pretty cheap. I'll get some some photos from some friends, and I'll put it up and I'll see what happens. And maybe there's a possibility where I can drop one of my, because I was full-time office working, maybe there's a possibility I can drop one of my days and do leathercraft once a day for a week. And that's sort of where it started. I launched the brand, sort of dropped a day, a bit on faith, not really having the customers to be able to justify it, but you can still sort of earn a decent income with 4 days a week. Well, you can earn enough to get by anyway.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year, maybe a year and a half, and then really started ramping up, or testing out advertising, and then it was sort of paying the bills for that day, and then it was paying the bills for more than one day, so I could drop another day, and so it was an incremental process to be able to go full time, which I did 3 months ago.
Wow, yeah, that's impressive. So that advertisement, was that just through Facebook or Google Ads?
Yeah, just through Facebook.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to Google advertising. I just don't know much about it. But
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I've got a couple of friends in the Facebook business. I don't know if you've used Facebook Business Manager, but it's very targeted. You can find someone that's interested in leather.
Yeah.
So I just target it towards people that are interested in leather, they're interested in handmade, they're interested in quality products. And those are the people that generally see the ad. So it's great in that sense. But then again, there's some massive changes coming to Facebook as privacy and everything gets clamped down on. Apple are making some changes there. So we'll see if that might not be the medium in the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's always changing.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because I don't know much about well, I didn't know they were actually going to clamp down on that sort of stuff in the future, but I guess that's the handy thing about Facebook, because you bypass a lot of I guess, like, if you think of your traditional advertising through radio, you have to ring up, give them a script, they have to record it, then you have to pick the time where you want it, because it's more I guess I assume that it would be more expensive at not 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Whereas you just go on Facebook and you just bypass all that hassle. You provide the content and they just post it for you.
Yeah, that's right, and they post it to people with that interest.
Yeah,
that's the big thing, which may change, because I don't know if you've seen the documentary The Social Dilemma.
I've seen parts of it, but yes, it's quite freaky. It's
kind of that's kind of the way that you find customers, is because the website's following you. They know your interests. As a consumer, I don't like the thought of that, but as somebody who makes something, I want to show my product to people who are interested in it, not just some random that's going to listen to the 6 o'clock news on the radio. He's never going to buy my product, but somebody who's interested in my product may buy my product.
Yeah. Have you ever done markets before?
No.
No?
No.
I did a market. I want to get back into them, actually, when I build up more products. But I found they were quite helpful, because you do see your customers face to face.
Yeah. People. I mean, the people that frequent markets as well. They're kind of people that are interested in handmade stuff. They want to know. A lot of them, especially now, like organic markets, and So there's a customer there that I think is more willing to spend a little bit more, and I would try it. I've got some friends that do markets for their business, which isn't in leathercraft, and it seems to do pretty well. But you've got to have an inventory of product.
Yeah.
you gotta pay your fees, take out time from your weekend. You know, there's pluses and minuses, but I would like to try it.
Yeah. That's I guess that is the downside, because you have to have stall insurance, like your stall, and that's what this makes it. You just make a Shopify account and you pay $50 a month or whatever. Whereas, that's just I think a lot of that will have to change in the future, like how leases work. Because with online, it just makes things so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, you know, if online is the only way to do things, I'm fine with that. But like if that was the only way for me to be able to generate an income, that's okay. But if, you know, you can also supplement it by doing markets or whatever, then great. But that's a whole nother it's a whole nother kettle of fish, really, isn't it? It's like, you know, as I said, you've got to have the product. You've got to have. I mean, some people are not good at talking to people. I don't know. I did sales for a bit. I wasn't great. But when it's on my website, it's kind of, I've written the copy and it's selling itself in a way, rather than I don't know, just different skill set, isn't it?
But I guess because you are the maker of what you make, and you know what I guess that's the good thing about, you source all your materials, like from your thread, your buckles, your leather, so you have that more. I guess it wouldn't be as hard as you think it would be.
Yeah, I am open to the idea, but just for me at the moment, I'm like, you know, I'll do online. But you know, another thing is these handmade markets. Have you seen them?
Give me like an example.
I think it's
like your typical farmers market, or
no, there's like these touring This is before COVID, so I don't know if this is going to be a thing going forward, but it's basically like a thing that travels around to the major cities of Australia. They book out a massive convention centre in the middle of the city, and all the handmade different whatevers, they get a stall there. So you get thousands of customers going past your table. They're all interested in handmade. You know, there'd be other leather workers and stuff there, so there's a little bit of competition. But you know, you're basically dealing with people that are specifically there to buy something handmade or see something handmade. So that's probably, I don't know if it would have a better hit rate than like a farmer's market. I don't know, but yeah.
There is something similar in Adelaide where they run it twice a year, and it's pretty much like the exquisite. They hand pick, you put an application and they hand pick all the people, and it's sort of what you say. They rent out a space and you'll get flooded with people who are actually interested in the craftsmanship and that sort of stuff, and they'll have food stalls and wine and all that sort of stuff so it's also it's a lot of a social thing as well as a shopping thing as well. It's not just shopping, it's sort of a mix between the two.
Yeah, that's good.
But it draws those people, whereas I guess that's the down. And I think that's sort of the benefit of those little things. Probably the downside is that it's only once or twice a year, but once that happens, right, you get the people that are actually interested in handmade stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would do it. I hope that stuff opens up, because then you get to meet people. It's like, it can be a little bit isolating just sitting in your studio making products. I think that's probably a good thing for you with doing the podcast, is you get to like talk to different makers and hear ideas
and the stories stuff are similar as well. Like how you started off, and the people that you watch on YouTube and you learn from. It's like, that's like, I can think of times when I'd watch YouTube, Stock and Barrel and Little King Goods, just to see what they're doing and try to implement it.
Yeah.
So then I guess because when you did this, because the next question was that because you have a young family, and so how did you go from making that leap to being from when you had that discussions of, I want to do this full time? Was that were you confident you could make it a thing once you decided to make it a full time?
Yeah,
business?
I mean, obviously, as I said before, you kind of do it incrementally.
Yeah.
So at first I dropped 1 day, then I dropped 2. And then, with the 2 days, I did that for a number of months to make sure that the numbers were fairly accurate. Obviously, with, kids and stuff. And I just wanted to make sure that financially I was going to be okay and make sure that we'd be able to eat and pay our rent.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few months just to make sure that the numbers were all good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, that's not everyone can drop a day at their workplace. Their boss might say no.
Yeah.
That's a reality. So luckily, I had a boss who was as long as you can get your work done, and we palm some of it off to a 2IC or whatever. I was a manager, but he was okay with that, and so that was a really good thing for me to be able to just be doing 3 days, and then when the business was telling me that I could ramp it up and do more work, that was time to throw in the notice. So that was October.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
but of course, there's always doubts, fears, and insecurities when you're talking about throwing in your weekly pay packet. You kind of think, oh, what if this thing goes belly up and then I don't have a job? But
especially in 2020 as well.
That's true. That's a risk. Yeah, that's true. But I was so fed up with what I was doing at the time as well. I'd been in that specific role for 6 years and generally didn't find it challenging anymore. So it was time to do something and take a risk. And I definitely don't regret taking risks.
Yeah. That's great. That's great to hear. So that sort of leads on to the next question. So how did you grow your business? Because like you said, it was incrementally. How did you grow it? Like you mentioned the Facebook advertisement, but
yeah, it's like I don't know if there's a saying, but it's something like momentum causes its own momentum, or whatever it is. It's like once you get going on something, you'll find that things that you didn't expect seem to happen, good things. And as long as you keep focused, like laser focused on what you want to do, it'll generate enough of a momentum to be able to carry itself through. So that happens with leathercraft, where I sort of think, I'll sell to a customer, and I used to think I'll sell to a customer, they'll buy my product, and that'll sort of be the end of it. But it's not the case. That's going to be the case with some customers, but other customers, they'll come back 2, 3, 4 times. They'll buy the same product for a family member. They'll buy your other products. They do come back sometimes, and that's what keeps your business going, is that I think you can never overemphasize the importance of being just doing a good job for your customer and making sure that they're happy. I just try to go the extra mile for my customers where I can. Some of them are difficult, but most of the time they're good. And if I go the extra mile and give them something that exceeds their expectations, they come back.
Yeah.
And they tell their friends.
Yeah.
That's the key.
So how do you go that extra mile?
Well, I try not to cut corners. There's some corners that you can cut in manufacturing, but there's some that you can't. So, I've used a lot of different leathers, but I just really don't have any room for cheaper leathers these days, because once you handle the good stuff, it's like, yeah, I could save 25% by lowering the leather, but when the customer holds it, they're not going to love it to the same degree. So I kind of think if you're doing a product, make it the best materials that you can charge for. Give them something that's like, this is something I've never had before. So that's kind of what I like to do with the belt campaign, which is my big seller. It's because it's the one I advertise. I just try to give them a belt that they've never had before. It's better than anything they've ever had.
Yeah. No, I completely sympathise with you with that, because when I was choosing, the leather and all that sort of stuff, like the leather's a huge thing, but also the thread. Like, I make sure the thread is up to my standard. The buckles are up to my standard, and it's sort of that you bring all these different materials, and it's just once you hold it, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, so I don't cut corners with materials at this point. I did when I was doing the hobby thing, because I couldn't justify putting any money in, or any more money in. But now that I'm doing it as a business, I'm just not going to cut a corner to try and save a buck, because it's not saving anything.
Yeah. That plays in your conscience as well. I know for me it does.
Yeah, that's right. You want to be proud of something. I think when you finish a product and you're not proud of it, or there's something that's wrong with it, it's like, I don't want to give this to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because you know where it's from.
That's right. Yeah.
So I guess that's, is your business, is it made to order, like what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's because I find that made to order is a lot more. I guess because you don't use a lot of wastage, whereas like if you're making 1,000 things, it's just sitting there. Whereas made to order is a lot more. You make it as it comes, and I think a lot more people are patient with it as well. Like, they understand.
Yeah, I think some people definitely understand. Some people don't. I guess that's one of the hard things with living in like an Amazon culture, where it's same day shipping and stuff. You've got to really be pretty direct in your copy on your website that, hey, this is a handmade product. I'm making it to your specifications. It's going to take whatever it is, 7 to 14 days or 21 days or whatever. And I'm not going to be able to return it if you change your mind, because it's made to you.
Yeah.
Some people get that. Other people are like, I ordered a wallet yesterday. Where is it?
Yeah.
It's still on the cow, mate.
Where am I up to on this? Oh, that was the next one. What leather do you use for your products?
All different stuff depending on the product, as you know. But for my belts, I use bridle and harness leather. I've used stuff from Aussie companies, Aussie tanneries, to the US. I'm using a bit of the US at the moment, because I like the thicker stuff, and my customers really like thicker belts. Something about holding a belt that's thicker than anything you've ever held before, as far as a belt that's like impressive on a first impression basis.
Yeah.
So I like to use the thicker leathers, even though they're more expensive. So I use, Herman Oak and Shahin and a few different US, North American steer leathers. Use some stuff from Moss Tanners down in South Australia somewhere.
Oz Tanners?
Yeah, do you know Oz Tanners?
I've heard of them, I think.
Yeah, so they do They're actually fairly big. They're one of those things where I sort of found them by happenstance. I think I saw their eBay store, and then I looked into it and I realized they're a massive tannery.
Yeah.
Massive. So they've got some great leathers that I use for my duffel bags. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, trying stuff out. Different products. I want to do a few different products this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to try out these different leathers, which is kind of the good thing about buying them. Little 1 square feet or 2 square feet. You can test out things, and it doesn't cost much.
Yeah. Is it 3 to 4? Because I know your thickest belt, that's 5 millimeters. Is that people like the 5 millimeter ones, or is it 3 to? Because I know the usual belt width is usually 3.5 to 4 millimeters, which is But yeah.
That's the typical, yeah. Yeah, I just try to do a bit thicker these days. So for my latest release, my product, the Unbreakable belt, that's like a 6 mil.
Wow.
So it's a different product. As I said, it's not ideal for the office or whatever, but
if you're in the bush,
when you hold it in your hand, you feel like you've got something that's going to last 100 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to think outside the box with what the norms are and what people might like, and trying different things. I've tried so many different leathers over the time. So
yeah. Do you use a design program for templates?
No.
No.
No, I do. I sort of just draw it out by hand.
Yeah.
I figure out all the measurements, and then I, for like, I guess I just use like small MDF templates, just trace them out and cut them. But for a lot of my products, I don't really use. I don't really do a lot of wallets. I have one wallet that's the same. Yeah. It's like kind of my own design. Very simple. It's not something that needs to be traced because it's super easy. But just have little templates and stuff that I've drawn out, and you can cut over and then use a scratch awl to just go around it and then cut it.
Yeah.
And have all the measurements written out.
Yeah. That's the next question about your belts. Talking about your belts, because that's what, that's what I saw when I saw your advertisement. Your belts.
Yeah.
Just tell me a bit about them. I might go on your website just to look at some of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do four different styles. Of two different widths. The standard width is 38 mil. That's probably just your regular leather belt. Although some of them are like 32 mil these days.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, I do 32 and 38. So usually 32. You can wear them with chinos and that sort of stuff, like a.
Yeah. I did 40 for a bit. Depending on the buckle. When I found a buckle that I liked, you've got to your thickness, your width rather, is determined by the size of the buckle. But I also do 44 mil, the double prong, and they seem to be pretty popular with the guys. I think I do want to launch women's belts.
Yeah.
Which the feedback, I've done a couple of custom orders for women's, and they seem to like thinner. 25 mil. Yeah, so I'll probably do some of them in the future as well.
Yeah. Look at the Unbreakable belt.
But yeah,
44 millimeters wide. That's quite wide.
Yeah, it's pretty wide. It'll fit in any normal jeans though.
Yeah.
But the problem, well, not the problem, but the when you go 44 and then you go a really thick leather like the Herman Oak that I'm using for my Unbreakable.
Yeah.
And it's at a place where it's doubling over, you're talking about like 15 mil of leather sometimes, which can be quite bulky.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
That's a style thing. So.
Do you skive any of like? Do you skive it on the backside, like when
you? I do for my normal belts, but for my unbreakable belt, I do not skive.
Okay.
I leave it thick, which won't fit in every pair of pants. And I'm honest about that on the site. It's not going to fit in every pair of pants. It's because some like suit pants, they're like the loops are like 30 mil high.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get a belt in there.
Yeah.
But most jeans and chinos and stuff, that if you measure the loop, it's like 50 mil, so you can get a 44 millimeter belt in there, no problem.
So which one has been the most popular one since you put up your ad?
Of the belts?
Yeah.
It's a mixture between the wide belt, which is a double prong center bar buckle. It's 44 mil, and it's called an everyday belt, which is just a West End style with a belt keeper. That's pretty popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that double prong. It's very unique.
Yeah, it's like a point of difference. I think you need something that's different in your brand. I think you need something that's different, even if you don't sell heaps of them. Just because people don't want something that looks like it was bought in a David Jones or something. Some people do, but some people want something that's a bit more unique,
Well, I think you've definitely hit that nail on the head, because like when I think of Anvil Hide, I'll think of that belt, the double prong belt. So I think you've done a good job at that. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's photography as well, and making it look like a real show, like a showpiece. So I had as I said, I had a friend that helped me with the photos, and he did a fantastic job just photographing that belt. And I've got a few photos of that on the site that just make it look really unique.
How do you get the white background when it's all? How do they do that?
Those. Are you looking at a photo of the unbreakable belt?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. You just sit it on like an infinity wall. I mean, that is honestly a piece of white paper that I bought from Officeworks, like a big square, like 2 meter by 2 meter, and you stick the front of it so it doesn't have a corner and there's no shadows.
Yeah.
And it goes up the wall and it comes down to the table.
Oh yeah.
Sit the product on. I think I might have used some blue tack just to get the right curl. And then of course you just got to shop out the white. You just Photoshop it out.
Yeah.
Cut around it so it looks really, really primo. If you have a look at my camera straps, there's one that's an even more interesting. Yeah, that one was they're just little photography techniques. Like you got a string of. For that one, I used a string of fishing line.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you use fishing line.
Yeah, shot on the side, and then you just shop out the line.
Yeah.
And it's like a really, I guess, a creative, different way to show the product.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Did you when you do those products, you put them on like a string or something like that?
Yeah. Just use different techniques to make it look a bit different, I guess.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I actually really like, to be honest, I really like the just the shots that like Craft and Law sort of do, where it's just like a, that brand, Craft and Law? They're a US brand. They do like a bunch of stuff, but they'll just throw it on like a real beat up old table, timber, rough stick. I like that as well.
Yeah.
So different strokes for different folks, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'll do that in the future.
Have you sold mainly in Australia or many overseas or?
Yeah, I only sell in Australia. I only advertise here. I just thought, you know what, may as well just try and fish in this pond before I go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because I think with the US, you got some stiff competition. And even Eastern European leather crafters, some of their stuff is phenomenal.
Yeah, or like look in the like South Korea or Taiwan. It's just
Japan. There's some real competition.
Yeah.
Not that Australia doesn't have competition. There's some great stuff coming out of Australia, but I just thought start here. You know the shipping, the taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff in like Japan and all that, like shell cordovan wallets, is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's like I just think you gotta. Do you sell over there at all, or?
No, I'm inspired by over there. Like, there's a guy in Taiwan that I really because I sort of like the more dainty stuff.
Yeah.
So like the thinner stuff. But yeah, I'm more inspired by the English, like the English, that classical English style.
Yeah.
And some of the Japanese and the Taiwan and South Korea, they sort of take that style from England as well. So I sort of like the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't sold over there, so.
Something to look forward to.
Next one. So next one would be, when you design your products, what do you look for?
What do I look for? I look for functionality. It's got to be functional, but it's also got to be. I mean, it kind of goes without saying. It's got to look good. Yeah, I think it's a melding of looking good, being functional in whatever you're doing, and also being unique. So, when I designed the duffel bag, I kind of thought, well, there's a lot of people doing leather duffel bags. What's something that I can do that's a point of difference?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'll make it out of one piece of leather. I'll make the body out of one piece of leather. No stitches. There's no small pieces cut up and joined. It's just one piece of leather and then the two ends. So real simple. It's going to be rugged because it doesn't have all these joins. The straps are going to be one piece as well, rather than a lot of guys do shorter pieces that are like riveted, which is fine. Rivet and burrs, they're going to last, they're going to hold, but it's kind of nice just to have one piece. Well, so it kind of just looks a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
Because when you get into looking at cheaper made in wherever bags and stuff, you look at the panels that they use and there's like 50 panels. There's a video that Dave does from Saddleback Leather in the States. Have you seen that?
No.
Have you heard of Saddleback Leather?
No, I haven't.
Okay, look up Saddleback. They're very functional as well.
YouTube boys.
And he does this video of how to knock off one of my bags, and he basically gets.
Oh, one of your bags?
No, one of his bags.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's got these very popular bags. Mainly he does bags, and he's got a video of how do you knock off one of my bags and do it really cheap. And so he's got this video where he's going through and showing how it kind of looks like his bag, but there's like 50 different small panels that they've used from little scraps of leather sewn together, compared to his one where it's one or two main pieces of leather. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Anyway, I got off track, but yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's what I kind of looked for. Yeah.
Yeah, I took apart a wallet on my YouTube. Actually, it got quite anyway. And I took apart a mass-produced wallet and compared it with one of my billfold wallets. And when you make a billfold wallet, it's just leather all the way through, like leather T pockets, leather back, leather, And anyway, so this wallet that I took apart, mass-produced one, opened it up, and it's so complicated. There was cardboard in it to make it stiffer.
Yeah.
Just the lining, just the edges are folded, rolled over, and it was just so complex to make. And it's just better off making a handcrafted one with quality leather.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think when you get to that level and you've got like a massive warehouse and factory and you're pumping out these products, you've got these machines that'll fold over this edge that's like a 0.5 millimeter and it'll glue it down perfectly. Yeah. But then they'll go and they'll shoot themselves in the foot by putting cardboard in it or using subpar leather. Right.
So
it's interesting, those dismantling videos. There's a few of them popping up from the States where one of them, the guy cuts the boots in half. Have you seen that?
Rose Anvil.
Yeah, he cuts them in half and that's pretty cool. I think the small handmade, made to order, in touch with the maker, customer experience. I think there's a resurgence. I had someone tell me who's kind of a business coach. Well, he's just more of a mentor, I guess, but who's running a business and giving me business ideas because I've never run a business. But he was like, I just don't think your business would have run 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I kind of was surprised, but I think he's right. I just don't know if before Instagram and YouTube and stuff, people were that interested in leather. So I hope that it doesn't reach a saturation point where every man and his dog is a maker.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll be cool too because there'll be a great community. But it's just the competition will be a bit stiffer, won't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably also another. That's one of the. I think that's one of the downsides to having like an international brand is because like different countries are more expensive than others. Well, I found that like because Australia, like it's a lot more expensive to live in Australia, so your costs are a lot more. It's harder to like as a maker. It's harder to compete with other countries where their cost of living might be a lot more cheaper and that sort of stuff. And that's sort of where it comes back to like leases and that sort of stuff. Like they're probably going to have to change because I don't think I could even lease a place. I think it would just be way too expensive to do it.
Yeah. That's a problem that I'm kind of having. I'm doing this from my home. And I did that because I didn't want to bite off. I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew when I left my job. I was already taking a risk, as I said earlier, about being able to provide for the family and to take on the rent of a new space as well at the same time. I just thought, no, it's probably not the best time, even though I would love a separate space.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely my next big goal. But even if that means a garage somewhere, because I'm just doing it in a spare room at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just leather all throughout my house, which is it's kind of a pain for my family.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal to do this, but at the same time, I did inquire about a couple of places. Getting a shop front is just crazy. I mean, you've got to be doing some serious sales if you can justify getting a shop front in Sydney or anywhere in Australia for that matter. Bit different over in the States and things, but just even your own like little warehouse space in Australia, it's going to cost quite a bit of money. So you really need to be up to that level.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it's like in Sydney. I know, just in the CBD in Adelaide, I remember I did hear a story. I'm not sure if this is true actually, but in some of the places in Adelaide were like vacant, and they would actually give you like a 6 months free lease period where you wouldn't have to pay for 6 months or so. I'm not sure if that's. I heard it from someone, so I'm not sure if it's actually reliable. But
Right.
yeah, if you want to own a shop front in the CBD, I'm not. Yeah, it'd be thousands a week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you think about
How much you have to churn out to make
I don't think
even.
you could do it as a solo maker.
Yeah.
I know there's a few different leather handmade places in the city, but they're all sourcing pre-made bags from Italy. I follow, he might be from Adelaide, but he's got a small studio, but it's also shared spaces,
Mm-hmm.
You know those
shared
spaces?
Yeah, in Adelaide they do shares. They do have studios. Like I know there's one place where different crafters will be.
Yeah.
In. You'd want your own space.
That's probably the stepping stone, isn't it? Getting one of those little studios where there's other crafters and stuff. But then it's not really a shop front, is it? I don't know if they can take customers walking in and out. Maybe they can. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably where markets come in.
Yeah.
Good middle
And that's the thing, because a lot of people would there be the foot traffic, you think? Probably 50 years ago, like people, you go down the main shopping centres were crazy, but because of online, you don't really need to go. Like, I don't even go to the shops very often.
No. People have less tolerance for traffic and stuff as well nowadays, funnily enough. Because of all the conveniences of modern society and next day shipping and whatever. I just think going to the mall, like there's something in the back of my head that's like, why would you put yourself through that torture? And now in the COVID world, there's people that are just not going to do that. They're just only going to shop online. I was on some Shopify blog and they had some stats about people's shopping habits since the start of COVID, and it was up like 73% or something huge. People are just unsure of public places and all of that stuff. Now, that probably has a roll-on effect to, well, I would hope it has a roll-on effect to leasing a place, because we've got all these businesses that are now working from home, restaurants closing down. Hopefully there'll be like a lot more commercial real estate that's on offer, and maybe that'll affect some of the prices. Yeah, in the future, maybe that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, even like the CBD, people working from home, that affects, all like, shops and restaurants and that sort of stuff. So yeah, like you said, yeah, hopefully there is a roll-on effect, because yeah, it's just very expensive. And also a lot of the shops as well, a lot of them are franchises as well, so you don't really need to go to the the CBD when you could just go to a shop that's sort of same franchise, they're just in two different locations.
Right, same product, it's just 2 k's closer to my home. Why would I go to yeah makes sense. That is a shame though, that everything's franchised and they're all big brands. But hopefully we see that turn around.
Do you think small leather crafters have dented the mainstream luxury industries?
I think they may have, but I don't know. I don't know, because it's not really a world that I'm really familiar with. There's going to be people that want to buy the brand name, and you may offer a better product, but because nobody knows your name, they're going to buy the Armani belt, which is probably half the quality of yours and double the price. So I like to think that there's people that are going to buy handmade leather craft because they care about what it says to them.
Yeah.
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 What do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said the other before, that business mentor gave you advice 15 years ago. You wouldn't be able to do this. I think now with the how quick education can spread and how quick communication can spread. Like those open. You see those people opening up boots and cutting open wallets, and you can just see what's inside of it. I think there may have been a denting into it and also because I've seen a documentary as well where where some of these products are made, like they're made offshore in China, and then they're taken to like Italy or one of those countries, and it's sort of just and they do something and they say made in Italy, where it's actually made. Most of it's been made somewhere else. So I think there's been a lot more scrutiny on products.
Yeah.
And
I hope so. I think people value transparency. That's another thing that does well with us leather crafters is people get to see the process, especially if you've got a functioning Instagram or YouTube and you can make a product and they get to see it. A lot of these big brands, they don't want you to see how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're making stuff in bulk, My brother lives in Hong Kong, and so I go there a fair bit, and they seem to really like those big brands.
Yeah.
And the status symbol. Lots of watches, and you can't own a car, or you can, but it's absurd to own a car in Hong Kong, so you buy a Rolex instead. And it's not just so that you can tell the time. It's because you like to show that you're doing okay. So that sort of culture, although even though saying that, there's some great leather crafting stuff in Hong Kong popping up as well. So I don't know, it's different strokes for different folks, I think, but hopefully it's digging into that absurd, mass-produced, overpriced. Can you tell how much I love these big brands?
Yeah, I know. No. So when you weren't making the sales but you wanted to design more products, how did you tackle this? Did you just focus? Did you focus on the products that you did have and promote them, or did you? What did you do?
I think the tendency is to make more products than you actually need, and I didn't want to launch with 2 products, but I almost think that that's a better way to do it, rather than having 15 different products and getting them all to a place where you're happy with them and can make them repeatedly. I almost think it's better to just get 1 or 2 products, or maybe have 1 wallet, have 1 belt, have 1 bag, or whatever it is, 1 key ring. But starting off small and having a small product line, rather than lots of products that, like, I've got 3 camera straps at the moment. I don't need 3. I probably need 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just variations and stuff. Sometimes I think you want to sort of not only have a couple of products, but I sometimes think it's better just to, have a couple.
Yeah. Because then you're known by those products. You're not just...
That's right. And you're not wasting time on development of different variations, and just nail one thing. You can do one thing really well, you've got a business. That's what I figure.
And this would be the last one. So in regards to your duffel bag, what sort of leather do you use for a duffel bag? Because you said just it's a 1 piece, so that would be a lot more thicker. Like, you don't add any stiffeners or...
No, I don't do lining either. I don't do lining. I do like lined bags, but I kind of want it to have that rugged edge,
Yeah.
So I use like an oil tanned leather.
Mm-hmm.
For those ones, I've used like a chrome retan recently just to try out. Chrome veg retan, which has been good. It depends. Sometimes I get requests for different leather. Like, yeah, I just bought some. Do you know Chrome Excel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought some Chrome Excel recently to make a duffel out of. I'm just going to try some different things and see what I like working with. But primarily, I use like an oil tan, high oil with a pull up, and a milled sort of texture.
Yeah.
2.5 mil thick. Yeah.
And when you were learning to make that, because it's so you have to use a lot of leather to make something like that. Was it a lot of trial and error, or how did you plan it so you had the least amount of hassle, so you wouldn't have to keep buying leather to redo it?
Yeah. Well, for that one, I made a canvas bag first.
Okay.
So I bought a roll of it's not a waxed canvas, but it's like a really heavy duty. They use it for they don't use it for tents anymore, but they use it for like military tarps and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a thick tarp that you might see on the side of a truck.
Oh yeah.
I bought some of that because I wanted a heavy duty duffel bag, and I didn't want to pay the cost of leather and stuff up a massive side of leather.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that first, and it's a very easy design. If you think about it, it's just a cylinder of leather. There's a couple of pockets in there that are a bit more tricky, and there's there's some funny things going on, but I would say if you're going to test and research and develop, just get a cheaper leather and make a tester and give it to a friend. Would be the best method if you're going to do a new product out of a high quality leather. I'd just do a test first.
Yeah. Can you just get that wax canvas just from the craft shop?
Yeah, I got that from. Well, it's not waxed. It's kind of like waxed. Unfortunately, waxed canvas is very hard to get in Australia, if not impossible. You kind of got to import it from the States or China, which I don't really want to do. And I kind of want to do leather first, so I gave up on the waxed canvas. But you can get canvas. There's a couple of manufacturers in Australia. They make it for the Navy and just the Defence Force. They make. I think they make it for caravans and stuff. You can get it in different colours, and there's what's it called? I think it's called no, I can't remember. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, so thanks for coming on, Aaron.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate your knowledge and another leather crafter from Australia.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, mate. Appreciate it.
No, good.